Oxcart Man by Donald Hall. In October, he backed his ox into his cart, and he and his family filled it up with everything they made or grew all year long that was left over. He packed a bag of wool he sheared from the sheep in April. He packed a shawl his wife wove on a loom from yarn spun at the spinning wheel from sheep sheared in April. He packed 5 pairs of mittens his daughter knit from yarn spun at the spinning wheel from sheep sheared in April. He packed candles the family made. He packed linen made from flax they grew. He packed shingles he split himself. He packed birch brooms his son carved with a borrowed kitchen knife. He packed potatoes they dug from their garden, but first he counted out potatoes enough to eat all winter and potatoes for seed next spring. He packed a barrel of apples, honey, and honeycombs, turnips and cabbages, a wooden box of maple syrup from the maples they tapped in March when they boiled and boiled and boiled the sap away. He packed a bag of goose feathers that his children collected from the barnyard geese. When his cart was full, he waved goodbye to his wife, his daughter, and his son, and he walked at his ox's head 10 days. Over hills, through valleys, by streams, past farms and villages, until he came to Portsmouth and Portsmouth Market. He sold the bag of wool. He sold the shawl his wife made. He sold 5 pairs of mittens. He sold candles and shingles. He sold birch brooms. He sold potatoes. He sold apples. He sold honey and honeycombs, turnips and cabbages. He sold maple sugar. He sold a bag of goose feathers. Then he sold the wooden box he carried the maple sugar in. Then he sold the barrel he carried the apples in. Then he sold the bag he carried the potatoes in. Then he sold his ox cart. Then he sold his ox and kissed him goodbye on his nose. Then he sold his ox's yoke and harness. With his pockets full of coins, he walked through Portsmouth Market. He bought an iron kettle to hang over the fire at home. And for his daughter, he bought an embroidery needle that came from a boat in the harbor that had sailed all the way from England. And for his son, he bought a Barlow knife for carving birch brooms with. And for the whole family, he bought 2 pounds of wintergreen peppermint candies. Then he walked home with the needle and the knife and the wintergreen peppermint candies tucked into the kettle, and a stick over his shoulder stuck through the kettle's handle, and coins still in his pockets. Past farms and villages, over hills, through valleys, by streams, until he came to his farm, and his son, his daughter, and his wife were waiting for him. And his daughter took her needle and began stitching, and his son took his Barlow knife and started whittling. And they cooked dinner in their new kettle, and after everyone ate a wintergreen peppermint candy. And that night, the oxcart man sat in front of his fire, stitching new harness for the young ox in the barn. And he carved a new yoke and sawed planks for a new cart and split shingles all winter, while his wife made flax into linen all winter, and his daughter embroidered linen all winter, and his son carved Indian brooms from birch all winter, and everybody made candles. And in March, they tapped the sugar maple trees and boiled the sap down. And in April, they sheared the sheep, spun yarn, and wove and knitted. And in May, they planted potatoes, turnips, and cabbages, while apple blossoms bloomed and fell, while bees woke up, starting to make new honey. And geese squawked in the barnyard, dropping feathers as soft as clouds.
All right, guys. So we've already talked about this story. This is the Ox Cart Man. I just wanted to have it recorded here for you guys in case you needed a reminder of what was going on in the story. So now, on Thursday, we reread the story and we discussed how seasonal activities were essential to the family's survival. So every season, the Ox Cart Man and his family, they were doing something, whether it was making clothing, making mittens, tapping the maple trees to get syrup, shearing sheep, getting goose feathers. I know they all made candles in the winter. So today we are going to explain how events during each season have a connection to the next season. So every season when they were working on something, it all suddenly coincided, which it means it all connected. So they all had one common goal, which was that fall time to go to the market and sell all the things that they made in order to make money and to bring new things. So whenever the Ox Cart Man, he left, he sold all of his stuff at the market and he bought brand new things so that when they got to the next season, which is winter, they had more supplies in order to do what they needed to do. So I don't believe we have any copies of the Ox Cart Man. That's why I have it recorded up here. You don't need a graphic organizer or a reading log because we're going to kind of discuss it. So in my classroom, I have this chart already kind of filled out. But if you want, get a blank sheet of paper and put a column for winter, for spring, and for summer. Okay, and then we're going to talk about what does the Ox Cart Man do in the winter, spring, and the summer. So at this point, you can talk with the person beside you. You can work with a partner. You can go back to the text and re-listen to what the Ox Cart Man and his family do during the season. So once you fill that out, you are going to do this in your reading log, which of course is a blank sheet of paper, and turning it into my blue basket. So what happens in fall, winter, spring, and summer in the Ox Cart Man? How are the events in each important for the next season? You can leave this question up. You can rewind and read or listen to the book again, but this is your question that you need to answer. So if I were to restate this question, I would say, in the story, The Ox Cart Man, during the fall, him and his family do blank, 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 blank. And then in the winter, they do yada, 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 yada. And in the spring, they do this and that and whatnot. And the summer, they do this and blah, 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 blah. Then I would talk about how are the events in each important to the next season. So like, how is it building upon? What are they doing in winter that helps them in spring, that can also help them in summer, that can also help them in fall? Like, what is the connection between all of these seasons? If you have any questions about this, please feel free to message me. I will try to answer all the questions that I can. If you want, after you are done writing on your blank sheet of paper, you can actually go ahead and type in my personal messages what you wrote so I can read it. This will help you with spelling, and it also will help you with typing. And I'm very interested and intrigued to see what you guys are going to write. So at this point, you can pause But today we explain how events during each season have a connection to the next season. That is the question that you answered. Okay? When you're done writing, go ahead and put your writing in the blue basket. And if you are an early finisher, you can get on ReadWorks and read a book. Okay? Okay, bye.